Hello, everybody. I just saw a little issue there, which is not quite right. Anyway, it's the 1st of November. Crikey, it'll be Christmas before we know it. And anyway, there's some solid breeze coming, and I thought I'd bring up the old Beaufort scale on the title, if you saw that. The Beaufort scale groups wind strengths into sections from 1 through to 12, or so it goes. And it evolved back in the day when there was no wind instruments like twirligiggers, electronics that could define exactly the wind speed on the boat. The sailors of old would go like that, stick their finger up, and if this side got cold, then that would give you the wind direction, and then if the finger blew back, shit, it's windy. Anyway, so it's grouped at about sort of, 10 knots or so, either side. And by the time you get up to 30, 35 knots, it's actually a gale, believe it or not. And when you get up to sort of 45 knots, 45 and more, it becomes a strong gale. And then so it goes. There's a definition. I won't go into it now. You can just Google Beaufort scale if you've never heard of it before, and you'll see what happens. So technically speaking, there's a strong gale on its way with this front. Some of you may have seen the weather update I gave yesterday, and we just had just saw a post just as I was coming on from Dan with some nice pictures and plenty of breeze and stuff. We'll do a post. Jane will do a post later, explain what's going on. But certainly there's a bit more breeze in the group now than what was even forecast last night coming through. So they're going to drive out of that pretty quickly, and then there'll be a light, calm sort of thing. It's getting to nothing, and then the front will come through sometime in about 24 hours or so, depending on the forecast, which we'll have a look at now. So we'll go to the tracker. I'll show you that first. I've got Windy on board again, ready to put up to give you a slightly more defined forecast with some computer calculated potential wind strengths and sea state and so on. And we'll do that after I give you the same sort of thing on the tracker, on the YB tracker. So you've got a picture. There it is. So you're on the tracker. Now I'm going on the tracker, and Dan's caught up. The reason we're on this one, I thought I had to reboot it because Dan's repositioning always seems to be late by about 5 minutes or so. Anyway, here we all are, and we need to see, there's the land there. I'll put that in. Because we've got Windy on, I have a smaller screen. So, we're day 250 now, so that's cool. Put the wind up here, so there's the breeze, a familiar sight, okay, and we'll do the currents after. So anyway, this whole scenario here now on the gold, that means it's pushing through. We usually say 28, gusting 35, something like that, up to 35, like the low 30s, and that appears to be what's happening. Dan's reporting he's getting gusts around 35. It looks like there's about a 2.5 meter sea, maybe pushing up a little bit bigger, but they're all, this is what they're used to. It's just like a solid trade wind, you might say. Fortunately, the seas aren't building yet, all those sorts of things. So all looking pretty reasonable. I'll go into the big picture of the weather once we go through the positions of the boats and what they're actually doing. So I'll pick that up so you can see it if you're on your phone. Josh down the back here, there was some discussion that he wasn't feeling so well for a couple of days or a day or so ago. I still haven't picked up on that one, but anyway, he's making pretty good progress. 5 knots, 144 mile day. Everyone's getting a big push with the current. You might have seen the post from Jasmine going off her tree, and she's got her bloody lee cloths up now. Jane and I were laughing. They don't have to have their sponsored, branded lee cloths up in the middle of the ocean. In fact, they need to take them down. But I think she put either she hasn't taken them down from the start, or she put them up to try and stay away from the wind because it's only on the port side. But anyway, it was quite funny. Okay, so Eric, 6.3 knots, 166 miles. That's not bad. There, we'll look at the currents in a minute. Entrant, he's sailing without wind vane, so might be a strange course, but he's dead downwind. He sent me a message, which I'll read after, about what he's up to and how he's coping and so on. And he may get busy may get busy with this front that's coming through tomorrow. So let's wait and see. But anyway, 132 mile day, 5.7. So, and he's saying all's well on board. Adam and Christian are side by side at the moment. So Christian seems to have slowed up a little bit. Maybe, if I remember rightly, he was ahead of Adam, but maybe wrong. Anyway, Adam doing 6 knots, 171 mile day. Right, all new records. I think the new record's 176 miles, which Jasmine is holding. Not Jasmine, Pilo is holding. So Adam's flying. Christian 6.2, 135. So yeah, that's what's happened there. And part of that, I don't know. Adam's sailing a straight course, and Christian made a big detour back here. Boom. All of that stuff, it just takes up miles. So that could be part of the difference, unless Christian's got a challenge on board or something. I'm not sure. Christian 135 against Adam 171. That's a huge difference. Huge difference. So there might be a story there. Anyway, here we go. Pila 167. Okay, she's gone south and doing 5.8 knots, but yesterday was her big day. Jacob 5.6, 150, so he's slowing up a little bit. Kerry 170, still got pressure on, and 6.6. Jasmine still in front of Kerry. Go Jazz. It's 5.7 and 168. That's pretty reasonable. So lots of fun happening there. And then when we move to the front of the fleet here, side by side, we've got 6.2 knots and 160 mile days for Dan. Renault chuffing along at 154 miles. He's out in the cockpit, got 1/3 of a jib up, so 160 versus 154, possibly because he's sailed away from the rum line a little bit. That could be the only difference there, but he sent me a message which I'll read shortly just to let us know all's well. He got plenty of breeze running under basically 1/3 of a jib, and you can see there, he's pretty flat against the rum line, so that's not too bad. He's just taking it steady. Anyway, they're moving out of that as we speak. So let's have a look here at the currents. We'll go for a current now, see who's in and who's out. There we go. Josh is now out of the current. Eric's out of the current. And everyone else is still in it. So the good news is they're going to be through this direction here, this wind direction, before the wind comes from the south, if everything works out. Because once it comes from the south, you'll see here, if they're some of these, 2 leaders certainly, if they're running over the side here, then the current's not going against the wind. If they're down in this lot here, it could get a bit nasty. So they need to be aware of that as well. Everyone else that's coming down here, well, could get a bit short and steep, but they're not forecasting big waves. But it's always up for grabs when you're in a big current stream. So let's see how that progresses. But anyway, that's the reasoning behind that. I'll just push that through to see if it's going to change much. It's getting a bit less, so that's probably a good thing. That's tomorrow when it turns up, so that's interesting. And then one more, come on, it's not, I'm trying to click and drag a bit. That's the next day. Oh, japers, bloody hell, that's dramatic. That's quite amazing. I don't know where these currents are coming from. That's usually it runs like a bit of a river and holds position, but that's very dramatic. Nothing really changing there. Yeah, the currents only go 2 days ahead, probably because it's so fluid. No pun intended, but that's interesting to see. The big eddy here. You don't want to be pushing into this either. So they've got some interesting challenges here. Might be why Renault's holding high. You can see. Well, you can't. Yeah, it's still a big eddy there, and that's a lot of power going into it like that. So it's an interesting challenges ahead there, trying to come through here, and then remembering, of course, here's where they want to go. They want to enter the Gulf Stream somewhere north of Durban. So decisions to be made, whether you come down here, but they're all, oh boy. Okay, so that's that one there. We'll come back to the wind and then see what's happening as this front approaches. I'll get rid of that now. It might be softening off. Let's hope it does. So here we go. I'll go back a little bit more. Okay, let's see now. I'm going to roll this through every 3 hours. So there you can see it all moves away pretty quick. That was 1, 2, 3. In the next 9 hours, they're all out of that strong northeasterly flow coming into the calm. And then here's the front forming up. Might have slowed down a bit, but anyway, that's the front forming up. We're into the second, so that's the next day. There's 24 hours. So by the time they get there, they've got that little area of no wind, and there's the light headwinds coming. So that was going to be light, but it looks like it's picked up in strength. That forecast now, I'd say, is probably 10 to 15 knots. So maybe the 5 to 10 knot headwind is going to pick up. The sea state should drop down there. I'll just check out the waves. Yeah, the sea's dropping off, so that's a good thing. I'll pick that up because we can see this front coming. Now, this front last night was showing to be quite dramatic, but let's see what happens. Yeah, it's still pretty lined up pretty solidly, and it's going into purple here. So this is going to be 30 knots gusting. Well, in fact, we know from the previous forecast. I'll look at windy in a minute. But that'll be, forecast winds of 30, 32, gusting 40. And when it hits, it's going to hit with a bang. But anyway, the boats will probably scatter a bit. If we come back here, if we come back with this headwind, they're all going to have to decide which way they want to go. Do they want to go south on starboard tack, or do they want to go north on port tack? What would I do if I was them? Based on this front coming, there's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to hide, but it does soften. You can see there as it goes through, as it gets up higher, it's moving in a northeasterly direction, like on that angle. As it's getting higher, it seems to get softer. Okay, and on that basis, rather than dip south, I would probably be tempted to go on port tack, maybe. But then you've got to consider the currents and future progress. Hard to say. I don't want to influence anyone. And then as it goes through, it softens off, and the wind swings from towards the southeast or east of south, and then it goes really quiet. You get into the big picture. So the next couple of days, everyone's going to need to make decisions, and they've always got to remember the currents underneath the breeze. But generally, that breeze is really good. Then once that's gone through, once the front's disappeared, they're heading along quite nicely towards Richards Bay or wherever, and stay away from the center of this high here. So let's just carry it through. Distance-wise, from the start, from the first. Okay, so it's the first now. In a couple of days, they're probably going to do not much more than 180, because they're going to be a bit. They're going to be about there, so it's going to go light again. Okay, that's about where they'll be in a couple of days. That's 3 days, maybe a little bit further progress than that. And then the breeze is coming from the north, so that's the 4th. The 5th is going to be quite light, and then they've got some rubbish coming up the coast for only about a day, and it's fading away, so that might change a bit. So, and then it's just light stuff, so they're going to be sitting there, and then there's another southerly on the 6th and 7th, and that's sort of when they're wanting to arrive, and that's going right up the Agulhas current, so that's going to make life interesting for sure. There's the current, and we've got a southerly going against it. It's going to be short, steep seas. That's going to be some more decisions for later on, but there's more challenges coming as they close the coast by the look. So anyway, all cool. Right, so from that, let's just, I think you've got a reasonable understanding of what's happening there. I've got Renault's position in latitude and longitude, so I'm going to transition this over to windy, and that'll give you some numbers because it's all about the weather at the moment. So that's where they are right now, and there's Renault's position, 24:45, 42:14 east. Right, so if I come back here if I hit this one, now you should be on windy, and I'm going to windy, and we want to bring this over here. We want to put it on 2746 south, so that's 27.9. If we want to go a little bit further south, a little bit further south, a little bit further south, a little bit too far, and that's 44.13. We want 42.15 east, so I've got to go east. This is how you position it, so that's 43. I can probably key this position in and go straight to it, but I do it like old-fashioned way, just roll it through until you're about there. 42.15, a little bit more. Okay, there you go, 42.15, 27.55, that's near enough. So that's about where Renault is right now. It's suggesting he's got 23 knots, but then when you go over the gust, because this is the console over on the right here, and I've got a premium thing which costs you a little bit. It's showing it's gusting 31, okay? And Dan was a little bit further south. There's some solid gusts, but the rest of the fleet back here. So Renault is on 31, in the 30s gusting, and wind speed of sort of mid 20s. So it's pretty much what we say here. We say 25, 28 gusting in the low 30s, and that's what we've got. The rest of the fleet, if I come into gusts and then move them back here, the rest of the fleet back here is gusting a little bit more. So the guys in the back are possibly getting a bit more, and wind strength about the same. So it's all pretty much what we expect. You set your timeline down here. Oh, that's for 7 o'clock, not 8 o'clock. It's moving away. That's 8 o'clock now. So I can set the time here on anything I want, but you'll see it's changing very quickly. So 6 hours later, where Renault is, it's dropped right off. You can see the whole fleet. So over the next 3 to 6 hours, it's going to change very dramatically back to light conditions. Okay, and then by then they would have been progressed forward a little bit. Probably Renault would have been down around here somewhere. Okay, so you can see it's back to 9 knots, and by 2300 by tonight, you've got this light westerly coming in. Now I explained it last night, but I'll just tell you again that this is probably a more accurate forecast than the graphic that's showing on the YB tracker. Down here, you've got the ECMWF. That's the computer model that's generating these images here. Okay, and this is the scale up and down. Oh, I want to go down just to show you this front coming. And there is another model here, which is called GFS. So that's, believe it or not, that was a little bit different than what it was here. You can see the slight change if you watch something. So there's 2 different computer models based on the amount of data that they've got inputting, and there's not a lot of places to give you weather data. And there's another one here, Icon. It changes the forecast again, but I think YB3 is a combination of ECMWF and GFS. I think that's what Windy are giving them, rather than just being one or the other. And that's a pretty good way to do it. But I love this one. The ECMWF seems to be the most accurate whenever I'm doing stuff, especially in the Southern Ocean. So just back to the dates and timelines here. So here it is. So that's midnight, and it looks like it's slowing down compared to yesterday. So that's because by the time the front was, it's moving pretty quick. Here it comes, and it's 7 o'clock. By 7 o'clock Sunday, they might be about there, so it might be a bit delayed. It might be 12 o'clock before it kicks in. Well, there it goes. Right now. So let's just look at that. So that's about where Renault will be, and this is about 9 o'clock on Sunday morning, UTC. And this is the forecast wind, and you can see some of this stuff through here. It's all forecasting around 30 knots, which is a little bit softer, I think, than what it was last night. And if we go to wind gusts, okay, it's a bigger lead in until it swings southeast. It's 44s, 40s. Yeah, it's actually softening off. That's a good thing to see. Last night it was showing nearly 50 knots in here, but now it's in the low 40s. Just run this around, so that's kind of cool. That would make me think, let's just follow it through a little bit more. So it's going to move quite fast. So that's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. 3 o'clock. 40s, it's not intensifying, it's holding its own. I'm just going to go again. By then they're starting to go over it. The band is less up higher, so that makes me think I'd probably Yeah, it's 6 1/2 the other. Half does the other. I'm thinking, oh, would I rather stay up higher and be on port tack in those headwinds, getting a bit north, or would I dive into it? And there's really not a lot in it, but maybe a little bit. If you're going north, it might be softer as it goes through. Remember, these are the gusts and the wind strength. Now that you can see, I mean, this looks like what you see in the normal trade wind stuff that we always think is quite mild, right? So compared to what was showing only 12 hours ago, it's all softening. So that's not too bad. Not too bad. So I'm happy about that. So it's not going to, it's not a Beaufort Force 9 strong gale, right? It's probably just come back to a gale, and it's not going to last very long. The good news, what we saw yesterday, if I go onto sea state, onto waves, it's right in the thick of this. If I remember where they are, you'll see here, the front comes through at about 9 o'clock here, but it's still, sea state's only 2 meters because it's coming from the calm. So we're not talking about 5 meter seas and stuff. Even moving on, it's still only forecasting less than 3 meter seas because it started off as pretty calm, and it takes a while to build up, but it's going to move pretty quick. So, only forecasting 3 meter seas pretty much through that whole area. So that's the good news. However, it'll interact with any current that's there, and we saw what was going on with the current anyway. So that's a little bit there on windy. While we're here, I'm going to look at the long range forecast because it's a good way to see what might happen going forward. And this is pretty accurate. So you can see Richards Bay over the side. That's where they're sort of heading to come in and join up with the bit of the currents that are coming through. So I'm just going to follow the wind every day. It's as we saw on the YB. This is on the 5th, and the 6th. This is where they're they're going to be into it by then. It's going to be a southerly. That's what I'm saying. I mean, there's this balance between what you can get and how you want to approach it. But eventually, it's going to turn around because there is this center of a sort of a high coming. There's a big northerlies going down. Jesus, no such thing as half ground. It's either blowing like crazy or not at all down the coast there. So that's a good strong northerly there. So that's about the tail enders. This is about where they're going to be. So they'll have a big quick ride down. The ones in the front have got some decisions to make. But it's holding north for quite some time. Look at that. Cheapest days. So there we go. I'll just count that back. There's one day. And it's a northerly slant down the coast. This is a good thing to see. So there's 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. So there's 4 days. Now this is exactly what we're looking for, because if you're waiting in Durban, 4-day slant of these favourable winds, that's what you want. Up until that's the longest one I've seen in a long time. Here comes the calm. Before the thing, so there's only 1 day of calm, but that's a good thing to see because that's what we want. We want 4-day slants instead of 2 to 3 days. We want to see good solid 4 days. So hopefully that's the way it's going to settle. In the meantime, I've got no advice on everyone rushing towards the coast with this wind being from the south there. At least not heavy, but it's only for a day and then it's swinging. So anyway, that's all cool. Okay, I think that's enough of our weather stuff. So if I hit that, come back here, say good day. We've been at it for 20 minutes. I've got a few messages here, which we can give you. Jasmine, hang on a sec. Today's their call-in day. I'm getting lots of pings starting this morning because of the on the 1st and the 14th of every month they send a YB3 message. So we got a message here from the boys as well. They're going out from Vanuatu. They're bypassing Vanuatu, heading straight for New Caledonia now, having a good time and eating Tim Tams. So they're cool. Okay, so MGR Entrant reports. We made Christian last night. Today from Jasmine, number 2. It's been hectic on board. Strong winds and just trying to hold course. Epic mileage, but 2 big ships got a little close for comfort, despite my best efforts. 0.18 nautical miles away. That's close. Okay, so less than 0.2 of a nautical mile. I don't know, I forget how many meters that is, but it's not very far away. Anyway, definitely isn't far. That's what she's saying as well. Could do with the wind chilling out a little, which I know it's due to do. Need a good sleep. Another hole in my A7 and finding out what's not fully secure below also isn't much fun. True. Very proud though overall. Like, who would have thought my name to be towards the top of the list? Definitely not me. Okay. I thought she was going to say, oh, um, I thought feeling proud. I thought she was feeling proud to think of where she is, about 18,000 miles from bloody Portugal. And when she was in Portugal, Georgie came back in a report. When Jasmine turned up at the marina in Portugal getting ready to go, right, and there's got all the guys from the OCC Cruising Club trying to rebuild the boat, this, that, and the other. And I think it was the first time Georgie met Jasmine. Anyway, sorry, Georgie, if you're watching. Georgie comes back and says, Shapers, Jazz is a bit under stress, she's and there she is now, 18,000 miles later. She's nailing it. So good on you, Jazz. And yes, quite good to see you going fast. So that's cool. That's the only official report we got there, but I got one from Entrant on a message to me, which I'll read. Hi, Don. All okay. Drifting with no sails. Still going well. Getting enough rest. Downwind. Looking forward to a little respite soon. Spoke to Adam. He's good too. Hopefully, Arzu's going to bring some spares for the hydrovane in Durban or Cape Town or wherever. Before we can see the end. Yep. So he's headed for Richards Bay as a destination, and you saw the weather at work last night, so that's cool. And then I had one here, a message rather than a report from Renault, which I'll read to you. Just says, "Hi Don, weather here. Seated in the cockpit, boat speed 6 to 8 knots. Have measured 35 knots. He doesn't have wind instruments on the mast, but he's got a little handheld wind twirligigger, and that's legal because it's not illegal. We just don't want wind instruments on the boat up on the mast. So he's measured 35 knots gusting. So he's sailing with 1/3 of a jib and the last metre of the mainsail. The last metre of the mainsail is nice to leave there because it's a pain in the ass to get down because of the batten and the flat top main. Waves are okay, all okay on board. So thanks for the. I said to him, thanks for the report. It's good to get reports, even if you're not due as an entrant, to ground proof the forecasting from the map. In other words, as you know, there's not a lot of reporting stations around the wide expanse of the ocean. There's just floating buoys or ships. A lot of the ships going through there are weather stations, and they have to report, or they volunteer to report every 4 hours, detailed information. The officer of the watch has to do it, but now the YB tracker is showing when you look at the color gradient and things like that. So anyway, as a summary of all of that, it looks like the big front that was forecasting up to 50 knots and so on is now back to about 40 knots, and maybe a little bit later as well. But the headwinds coming towards them before that might pick up from the 5 to 10 to 10 to 15, something like that. So all good. And we're going to try and get a press release out today. We've got so much going on, so I'm not going to work on our boat today. Anyway, Brian, g'day. Good November. Yeah, thanks for that. Pinch and a punch for the first day of the month. Ooh, jeepers. Adrian, g'day. Are you going to need crew to sail your boat back to Les Arbres? Yes, we will, but probably not until April next year. We've decided there was a few delays here and bits and pieces, and so we're not going to try now. I have to be back in Les Arbres de Lone for a Gold Globe Race conference, which we get busy from the 16th, 17th. Running out of time, so the bugger will look like the motor's coming out. We're going to fully recondition the motor and a few things, and that's going to take 4 months or 3 months. Speaking to the engineers, so because we're doing a refit on the boat, we get ready for the next round the world race. So we've done the rig, we've done the hull, we've done the steering and all the drivetrain, and had some electrical guys in there for a while doing the electrics, and now the motor's okay, but runs like a clock actually, but it should be done. It's done 6,000 hours or something. So that's the new project. So stand by, and yes, we'll be looking for crew probably in April. Get it back to France, and it'll be at the Sable d'Olonne for the start of the GGR. Okay, good evening, Don from Isla. I'm watching you from Darwin. It's interesting about the weather. Yeah, it's quite cool. It's still pretty reasonable, better than could be sometimes expected. Hey, John, don't forget to like and subscribe and share and all that sort of stuff. Adrian, hey, Christian Builder's blog isn't available. I was looking at copying his pump out system. Yeah, I saw someone else mentioning another one. I think it was one of the other earlier blogs, why they're not there. I'm not sure. There's not a huge obligation to keep them there, but sometimes when they write a blog, uh, if they don't update it, sometimes it pulls down. I don't know. But it's certainly good for builders if they can leave their blogs there. And Christian's pretty proud of his building, so I'm not sure why it's not there. Maybe there's a hiccup. So we're due to do another builders update to all the builders, but we were waiting to try and resolve the Sheldon rig stuff, and we're waiting for a little bit of data off tracking yet when they get to Durban. So hopefully in the next month or so we can finalise that, get a builders thing out, and we'll just remind everyone that if they can keep their blogs there, it's kind of good. There's nearly 100 of them up there at the moment from all the builders, so that's cool. Okay, we're done. So thanks for that. Watch this space, and we'll hopefully see you tomorrow. So see you later. Bye-bye.